Hello, all right, let's get started. We're gonna add some more movement today, so do a Vinyasa flow where we're connecting breath and movement. We'll start in a child's pose. So I just did a video, Child's Pose Explained, so feel free to take a look there if you need some variations. Finding the shape that works best for you today. I'm gonna take an active widening child with stretching out long. Remember there's variations to do seated or using props to support you. Finding the child's pose that works best for you today. So we're allowing that body to round, that back to round, and that, well, depending on which shape we're in, bringing that heart towards the earth. If we're in this active variation with me, the palms are pressing into the mat as if we're pressing the mat away from us, sitting those sits bones back towards the feet, whether they touch or not, finding that length in the side bodies, finding that deep, slow breath, bringing it in nice and full, bringing in that oxygen, nourishing the body. On the exhale, we're softening, condensing, coming back towards home. And if child isn't working today and you'd rather start seated or laying down, you're always welcome to do that. We use your practice today. About one more breath here. Remembering my words are always just an invitation. So finding the practice that works for you. Beginning to tune in, to invite ourselves into this present moment, setting aside distractions, setting aside that to-do list. Really showing up for yourself. And when you're ready, we're going to slowly come up, sitting into the sits bones. The head is very heavy and is the last thing to roll up. We're using those hands and arms to help guide us. Coming all the way up to a seated position. If it works today, we're going to sit in hero, or we sit onto the knees. If not, take easy pose or sit in a chair. I'm going to use a block under the seat here for my variation. That works better in my knees. We're just going to take the flesh of those calves, roll it out a bit, bringing the knees towards each other. They don't have to touch. Maybe we offer ourselves a little foot massage there if that feels good. Beginning to find that nice, tall, strong back, tailbone rooting down towards the earth. Taking several deep, slow breaths here. Maybe the eyes are open or closed. It depends on what feels best for you. Beginning to tune into that breath if that feels okay today. If not, we always have the option of tuning into the body. And then on our next inhale, we're going to find that long, tall spine. On the exhale, releasing the chin towards the chest, stretching out the back of the neck and the upper back. Nice big inhale, rolling up through center. Exhaling, releasing left ear to left shoulder. Keeping those shoulders relaxed down away from the ears. On your next inhale, coming up through center, exhaling, releasing to the second side. Keeping that weight even in the sits bones. So notice if you're kind of leaning over to one side, see if we can stay right in the center, keeping that back nice and tall. On our next inhale, coming up through center. And we'll come forward, removing that block, coming into a cat and cow. Remember, we have the variation to do this seated as well. We're coming onto hands and knees. We're going to check in that those wrists are right under the shoulders, knees under the hips, starting with a table, nice flat back, inhaling. On the exhale, curling that tailbone under, tilting the pelvis back, so we are rounding into that back, into cat. Feel free to wiggle and move in whatever way feels good. On the inhale, lifting that tailbone, tilting the pelvis forward or towards the ground, arching into cow, rolling all the way out through the crown of the head, Bringing that gaze to wherever it's comfortable for you, bringing it up as much as you like. Following your breath, exhaling, rounding into cat. Inhaling, arching into cow. About one more in each direction. Follow your breath, exhaling, rounding into cat. Inhaling, arching into cow. From here, we're going to come into downward facing dog. If that feels okay today, always the option to skip down dog and meet us in mountain. But if we're going through down dog, we're going to tuck the toes, inviting the sits bones to lead the way, pressing that chest back towards the thigh, coming into your triangle shape, bringing that weight out of the wrists, into the patting of the hands, the fingertips, eventually walking those feet, warming up the backs of the legs, walking the heels down towards the ground. Again, the heels don't have to get close or even touch the ground, wanting that nice reach out through those sits bones, creating that triangle with your arms close to your ears, reaching up through that seat. Taking a few nice big full breaths here. Coming out whenever you're ready, finding your way into mountain. I'll talk us through it when we're ready. And when you're ready, if you haven't already, we'll bend into those legs, look forward, walk or step the feet forward, coming into mountain. And, coming into forward fold, sorry about that. So, knees are soft, bend as much as you like. Some people like to rest the hands on a block, so we have that option if that feels better. Or a chair. Maybe we cross the arms, gently shaking the head no and nodding yes, just letting that whole upper torso hang over the hips. Finding those big full breaths. And to come up, we're going to follow the breath that supports us, or maybe following along with me. Nice big inhale. On the exhale, pressing evenly into those feet. Front, back, side to side, weight even, slowly rolling up. That head is the very last thing to come up, so we're noticing the base of the spine there, that tailbone slowly unfurling, finding our mountain as we go. Rooting that tailbone down, navel hugging spine, heart lifting up towards the sky. Maybe we roll the shoulders up and back, opening the palms if that feels good to face forward. Nice long reach out through the crown of the head, down through the tail, finding mountain, Tadasana, finding your mountain today, very grounded, tall, majestic, able to withstand the storm. Feeling those feet getting heavy in the lower half of the torso. On your next inhale, sweeping the arms wide. Exhaling, palms to heart. On our next inhale, lifting the palms, maybe looking up if that feels good for you. Adding a little back bend. Exhaling, diving forward, forward fold. Nice big full breath here. And when you're ready, slowly rolling up, finding mountain as we go. Remember, mountain feet can be hip distance or closer together, depending on what's best in your body. Once we find mountain, tuning in there. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhaling, sweeping the arms wide. Exhaling, palms to heart, gathering that beautiful energy around you, bringing it into your system, connecting the thumbs with the base of the thumbs with the heart. On your next inhale, lifting the palms, maybe adding that little back bend, looking up, reaching up through those fingertips, exhaling, diving forward, forward fold, Uttanasana. And when you're ready, slowly rolling up, finding the breath that supports you. Finding your mountain. Tuning in there. Finding your right to be here. Very grounded and stable. On the next inhale, sweeping the arms wide. Palms come up and together, your range of motion. Exhaling, palms to heart. Inhaling, lifting the palms. Exhaling, diving forward. Last one. Nice big full breath here. On our next in-breath, we're going to lift halfway, Ardha Uttanasana, so crown of the head leading the way. We're going to do a little back bend, exhaling, forward fold. And then from here, we're going to come into downward facing dog, planting the hands, stepping the feet back. We'll have our blocks nearby. If we need it for support, we're going to come into our flow here. So finding your down dog, taking several breaths. And then from here, we're going to come forward into plank. So on an inhale, coming up onto the balls of the feet, rounding forward through the shoulders, finding your plank. Wrists under shoulders. Nice long spine. We might lower the knees for support here. Still finding that mountain torso, nice long spine. Reaching out through the crown of the head, down through the tail. Navel hugging spine. Or maybe our knees are lifted. Find what works best for you. Taking a couple deep, slow breaths here. Finding your inner power, your inner strength. Nice strong core. Nice work. One more breath. Okay, nice big inhale. On the exhale, we're going to lower knees, chest, and chin, coming all the way down to the floor. Untucking those toes. Hands stay under shoulders. Arms take to the body. Invite the inhale to lead the way. We're going to come into cobra, a little back bend. Again, inhale leading the way. So we start that inhale, we feel the expansion in the belly or wherever you're feeling your expansion, and we grow out from there, going up into a back bend. Nice big breath here. Keeping that navel hugging the spine, arms tight to the body, reaching out through the crown of the head. And then on the exhale, slowly lowering. We're going to press up and back through child's pose, maybe taking an active variation here with the knees wide, arms stretched long, or whatever variation works best for you. Nice big full breath. On an inhale, coming up through table. Adjust the hands, adjust the knees. We're going to come through downward facing dog, tucking the toes, sits bones lead the way, finding your down dog. Nice big full breath here. Bending into the legs, inhaling, looking forward, stepping or walking those feet forward. And coming into forward fold, Uttanasana, we're going to slowly roll up into our mountain. Finding mountain, Tadasana. On your next inhale, sweeping the arms wide. Exhaling, palms to heart. We're going to sit back into chair. So imagine a tall table or a chair behind us. Knees stay right over the ankles. Mountain torso. So keep that navel hugging the spine. And we're going to sit back. I sometimes hold my hand, one hand on my heart, one hand on the belly to make sure I'm holding that mountain torso. Hands can be at the heart or at the hips or reaching up, whatever feels best for you. Finding the breath. Couple big full breaths here. And then we're going to step that left foot back, coming into warrior two. So warrior two, we're just going to straighten into that front leg for now. We're going to find our warrior 2 feet. So that front foot, the right foot, is pointed towards the top of the mat, the toes. The back foot is at about a 45-degree angle. And the front foot either bisects that back foot, so it comes to the middle of that back foot, or we can step it out wide, like widen your base to have a wider foundation and make it more stable. We can also have a chair here that we're holding onto, or have it nearby if we need to have it for support, if we're feeling a little wobbly, okay? So here in our warrior, in this warrior 2, Virabhadrasana, we're gonna look for that starfish breathing or navel radiation. So when the breath comes in, it starts around the torso, around the navel area, and then expands out. So we're gonna be pressing evenly into both feet. We're gonna be reaching out through the crown of the head and down through the tail, and reaching evenly out into both arms, yeah? So we have that kind of starfish sensation. So starting with the inhale, growing out from there. Pressing evenly into both feet, reaching out through the crown, down through the tail, reaching out into those arms. On the exhale, we're going to bring the gaze over those front fingertips and bending softly or deeply into that front leg. Your feet can be as wide as you like, whatever feels most comfortable for you. You can bend as much as you like into that front leg. Back leg is straight. Maybe we bend deeply and lower into whatever shape is working today. Finding our warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Finding our breath, relaxing the shoulders down away from the ears, soft face, kind eyes. Imagining those qualities of a warrior. From here, we're going to come into side angle. Take a break whenever you need. Side angle, lots of variations. That front arm can just come down, legs don't move. Top arm, we're going to rotate palm facing up for that internal rotation of the shoulder and sweeping that arm up to wherever that flexibility is today. This could be one option for side angle. For some of us, we might like to come a little lower, bending that front arm, bringing the forearm to the thigh, and coming down a little deeper. We aren't putting a lot of weight on that front leg. Yeah, the weight is in the feet. This front arm is just point of reference. Again, finding that breath, finding that navel radiation or that starfish sensation. On our next inhale, we're going to come into peaceful warrior. So the top arm sweeps back, front arm comes forward, rotate palm facing up, opening into your peaceful warrior. Might be a gentle opening, might be a deeper opening, maybe that gaze comes up if that's comfortable. Find what works for you. Legs have all just stayed, they're still in that same position. And then on our next inhale, we're going to come forward into triangle. So top arm sweeps up, front leg straightens, and then from here, keep your starfish pressing evenly into both feet, reaching out into those arms, out through the crown, down through the tail, and folding at the torso into our triangle. For some of us, we might have a chair here to put the hand on. We might be here in our triangle, extended triangle. Some of us might like a block at whatever height. We have high, medium, low. So whatever variation, some of us might come down to the floor. Okay? Opening that chest, maybe we look up if that feels okay to help open that chest. Taking several deep, slow breaths here. Finding that starfish expansion with that in-breath, radiating out in all directions. On the exhale, coming back home. All right, from here on our next inhale, we're gonna bend into that front leg. We're sweeping back into peaceful warrior. Legs come into warrior 2 legs. Front arm reaches forward, rotate palm facing up, opening into peaceful warrior. And on our next inhale, we're going to cartwheel the arms forward, and we're going to step or take a few steps to get ourselves back into mountain. Notice how you feel. Notice the 2 different sides of the body and any sensations that you might notice. Preparing for that second side. Inhaling, sweeping the arms wide. Exhaling, palms to heart. We're going to take a forward fold here in between. On our next inhale, lifting the palms. Exhaling, forward fold. So inviting that whole torso to hang over the hips. Taking a couple nice big slow breaths. And when you're ready, slowly rolling. Finding your mountain, Tadasana. On your next inhale, sweeping the arms wide. Exhaling, palms to heart. Sitting back into chair. I forgot I need to be on this side this time. Finding your chair, Utkatasana. Finding that even weight in the feet. Pressing the palms in towards each other, making more room in the chest for the lungs. And then when you're ready, we're gonna step that right foot back into warrior two on the second side, grabbing that block if we need. So same thing on this second side, find your warrior two feet, front toes pointing towards the top of the mat, back foot about a 45-degree angle from the back of the mat. Front foot bisecting the back foot or widening out those feet to make more of a stable foundation. Inhaling, finding that starfish. Pressing evenly into both feet, reaching evenly in to both arms, out through those hands, out through the crown, down through the tail. Exhaling, bringing the gaze over the front hand, bending softly or deeply into that front leg. So we want our weight to come straight down. So notice if you kind of lean forward or you're leaning back, we want head over shoulders, shoulders over hips, even weight in those feet. So we might have to adjust our feet a little bit, yeah? Finding deep, slow breaths. Again, relaxing those shoulders, soft face, kind eyes. We might take a look at that hand behind us and look at what it's doing. Sometimes I look and I'm like, oh, that's not where I thought I was in space. So just checking in there, where are we physically in space? Notice what's happening in the pelvis here. Is the pelvis, are we kind of tilting it forward? Can we hug that navel towards the spine? Reaching out through the crown of the head, finding that mountain torso here. Preparing for side angle, so taking the variation that works best for you. Maybe more of a gentle variation, maybe we deepen, bringing that front arm bent, sinking deeper in. If it feels okay, we rotate that palm, that right palm facing down towards the floor. Again, internal rotation. Maybe bringing the gaze up towards the sky, if that feels okay. And on our next inhale, peaceful warrior, top arm sweeping back, front arm reaches forward, rotate, palm facing up, opening into your peaceful warrior. Nice big full slow breath. Preparing for extended triangle, inhaling, straightening into that front leg, top arm comes forward, rotate both palms facing down, finding that navel radiation. And then folding when you're ready. Bringing in the block if you need, coming down to the floor, whatever works best for you. Finding the breath, bringing in a nice, big, slow, full breath, as much oxygen as you can bring into your body. Exhaling fully. And on our next inhale, finding peaceful warrior, bending into that front leg, top arm sweeps back, front arm reaches forward, palm rotates up. Maybe feeling a nice big stretch in that side body. And then on our next inhale, cartwheeling the arms forward, stepping or taking a few steps forward, coming back into mountain. Checking in here. arms wide. Exhaling, palms to heart, resting the base of the thumbs on the heart. Maybe feeling the beat of the heart. Moving towards the end of our practice today. Inhaling, lifting palms. Exhaling, diving forward. From here, we're just going to come all the way down to the floor, onto our backs. Hugging the knees into the belly if that feels good, or just allowing the feet to rest on the floor. If we had the feet lifted, we'll bring them down to the floor. We'll end with windshield wiper twist. So arms come out to our sides, palms facing up if that works. Feet can be close or wide, whatever feels better in your body. Legs are bent. Nice big inhale at center. On the exhale, releasing the knees to one side, nice and slow. Maybe they come down to the ground, maybe not. On your next inhale, coming up through center, exhaling, releasing to that second side. Windshield wiper twist brings the twist more in the low back and hips. So we can stay resting here on one side, or we can kind of keep it moving, keep it dynamic, inhaling up through center, exhaling to the side. If you've rested on one side, coming onto that other side at some point in the near future. And then when you feel balanced, we'll come back to center. It might feel good to pick those knees up again and draw little circles on the ceiling or the sky with the knees in both directions. When you're ready, we're going to come into Shavasana, our last shape. So for some of us, we might just lay flat on our backs and call it good. Some of us might like to grab some warmth as we can. Our body temperature does tend to drop when we're in Shavasana. Some of us might like a rolled blanket under those knees or under the tops of the thighs there to help tilt that pelvis and keep that low back happy. So you can put like a rolled blanket right under the tops of those thighs, like under the top of the hamstrings there. Or under the knees, or some, maybe we keep the legs bent with the knees falling in towards each other. We can lay on our backs, our bellies, or our sides. Really in Shavasana, the only requirement is to have a neutral spine, so no back bend there. So other than that, finding what works best for you. If I'm having a hard time relaxing, sometimes I'll put one hand on my heart and one hand on my belly. I'll do this before bed too to help me fall asleep. Just kind of tuning in, noticing the sensations under the hands. So some people say Shavasana is the hardest shape to be in because we're not distracting our minds with anything to do. So just notice how this is going for you, and if it's hard or if it's easy, practicing that mindfulness of just noticing and letting go of harmful judgment as much as we can. And so here we're just looking to rest. So inviting the whole body to get heavy, little muscles around the eyes to relax, inviting the brain to get heavy, to relax. Feeling gravity holding us to the earth, feeling the earth under us, supporting us, always there to hold us and nurture us. letting everything else go, or at least having the invitation to let everything else go. Just resting there for a few more moments. I'll ding the bell when it's time to wake back up. Gently beginning to wake the body, or if you'd like to continue resting, you're welcome to. If we're waking the body, stretching in whatever way feels good for you. Maybe rolling over to one side and just bringing the head towards the heart, curling up for a moment, noticing anything there is to notice. When you're ready, coming all the way up to a seated position, whether that is on the floor or a chair, wherever it works for you. And tuning back in. Taking a few breaths here to just notice. And bringing the hands together in front of the heart. I'll end us with a loving kindness practice. May all beings everywhere be safe, be free, and know love. Namaste.